What's up, deal makers? We just finished Ask Alex number 74. This week we dove in and got to review a couple of deals. Alex, what were your biggest takeaways?
Big takeaways is how important the comps are and understanding what your true value is of the property. We also went real deep into getting auto searches going so you have opportunities to hit your inbox. But there's a lot more, guys. Check out the webinar. You're going to learn so much. Let's go. All right, what's up, guys? Today we're going to be reviewing deals, and Will is going to be jumping on in a moment. So make sure that you guys are using the chat feature. Damn, when I see these reviews, it's like number 74. So we're coming up on a year and a half of doing these free webinars for you guys. So just how time flies. So yeah, guys, we're going to be discussing deals today. I've looked at thousands of deals over my career, and I think that's one of the things that's it's going to be a constant. You're always going to be reviewing deals if you're a real estate investor, always looking at opportunities. What's up, Will?
Hey, what's up, Mr. Camacho? Good to see you, sir.
Same here, buddy.
We are here. We are in the building. Let's get some light on in here. There we go. All right, let's get ready to review some deals today, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. So what are you up to? You looking at some deals yourself? I know you're always up to something.
Yeah, no, like you were just saying, I think the deal side of reviews is obviously one of the more important sides of it. I mean, sometimes we'll look at 10 to 15 deals in a day and buy a couple of them. Sometimes you look at some and you miss. Sometimes you're just kind of checking to see, whether another wholesaler or another agent has the right idea of what, your buy box is, right? Or is somebody just sending you something that's a little bit outside your buy box, and it's your job to kind of look at that and say, hey, man, this isn't in our buy box. This isn't what we want to do. So, yeah, I think the deal review side of things is obviously one of the most important. So I'm pretty stoked to do some deal review on here today. Before we do, though, if you guys are tuning in for the first time, just go ahead and use the chat feature down there below. Let us know where it is that you're tuning in from. That way we can kind of stay connected with you. Leave your IG in there as well. And in the meantime, kind of Alex, if you don't mind giving us a brief rundown. I know you're in Los Angeles right now, but got some travel plans coming up, right?
Yeah, so I'm still here in LA. I've been here for 2 weeks. That seems to be a long time now, based on some of the times that I've had to kind of jump around. But got into a good workflow here. Been staying in Studio City in one of my brother's places, and just been hiking it a lot. Been spending time with the team. We got a chance to do some, so we actually got a chance to go look at some of the properties. So it's cool to go see the Compton flip over this weekend, see the progress. I think that's the third deal that Amari's the project manager on. Shout out to Amari, our team member. But it's really moving fast. As you can tell, you get better at finding deals. You get better at rehabbing properties. With the more reps, the more deals that you're working on. So that one seems to be going a lot faster than some of the other stuff that he first started working on. Also, shout out to everybody that came to our investor meetup. We did our third investor meetup down in downtown LA at that cool warehouse that my brother has. And we had, I think 120 people show up. So yeah, just grateful that people came out on a Friday night, spent some time with us, connected, shared their wins. We got to share. And what's funny is about that one is that, and we'll be sharing this on the Facebook group, you guys, is the theme of the downtown LA meetup that we had was the lessons learned from losses, because so much of what we see on social media and some other things is the wins, all the successes. But we like to share the struggles. We like to share some of the losses, things that we've and not necessarily like losing money, but missing an opportunity, working with the wrong person, and then not investing in other people that would probably be a better fit for your organization. These are some of the things that we learned, and we're going to share that on an exclusive post on the private Facebook group. So if you're not part of the private Facebook group, make sure that you attend there, and we could put the link inside the chat. So a couple things going on. I'm going to Maui tomorrow. We're buying another property in Maui, and so I got to go walk that property. We already closed on it yesterday, so I got that through the mastermind that we went to in Vegas. Somebody that I met there that was already a follower had a friend. That friend had a deal locked up in Maui. He wholesaled it to us. So now I'm gonna go check that property out, walk it. We might hotel it and do a quick flip on it. We might do a full rehab and flip it, or who knows? Maybe we keep that one. A lot of stuff in Hawaii we tend to think about keeping because the appreciation is so high over there. Homes go up a lot in value. So we might just keep that for that as well. So we'll see. Are you going to Hawaii, by the way? Are you going with us, Will?
A lot of pressure on that one. I think we're doing Mother's Day down in San Diego this weekend. Should be fun getting out to see the folks, but might try to make it out there soon. We'll see.
Okay, so just so you guys know, I've been trying to convince Will to come back to Hawaii. So I don't know who needs to be convinced to go to Hawaii, but that's the type of the guy. This guy is working all the time, and he just doesn't take the time off. So once you guys pressure Will to come hang with us in Maui for a little bit, because whatever I'm doing, it doesn't seem to work.
Swimming out there with the turtles and surfing. No, I'll be out there soon. It's definitely on the list.
Well, the house will be pretty much empty or available. I won't say empty, available from late May to September when my partner gets back, and so we'll definitely be spending some time there and having people come out and some of our private money lenders.
I was going to say, I think we'll have a couple of private money lenders sprinkle out there and get to hang out at the place as well over the next couple of months.
Yeah, one of Evelyn, one of our private money lenders, she's going to be going out there middle of June with her mom and her parents. So that's going to be cool for her. So yeah, and then also, so I'll be in Hawaii for about a week or so, and then I'm going to get over to Phoenix. We're big news is we're closing on our 18 unit a multifamily deal out there in Phoenix. So I had to get out there and get that project kind of launched and make sure it gets off on the right foot and that we pick the right, people for the rehab. We're going to be rehabbing a lot of the property. So value add play. So excited about that. So I'll be in Phoenix for a good 2 weeks. So if you're in Phoenix, reach out, let's connect. We'll definitely be doing some meetups and, kind of hanging out with people on that 18 unit building. We're excited about it.
Yeah, no, that'll be exciting. In the meantime, Alex is going to make me the host, guys. I know it's always good to kind of catch up and connect. I did drop the Facebook group down in the chat there. So if you guys see that chat feature down there, you guys will be able to, kind of use that. And if you do get a chance, go on there and let us know what you think. In the meantime, I also want to give you guys a brief poll. So I just sent that out there to you guys right now. Go ahead and let us know what you would prefer us to do on this deal. Do you guys want us to look at new deals? Do you guys want us to look at past deals? Do you guys want us to do both? And we'll kind of go over what you guys want. Again, this is for you guys. So that's what we're kind of, doing this for. And we want to make sure that we're delivering value. I know Alex and I love looking at deals. We're deal junkies. So it doesn't really matter to us which way or another. But it looks like we're getting in a overwhelming new deals and both. So I'll go ahead and share the results with you guys right there, just so you guys can see that right there. But absolutely nobody picked past deals. So it looks like people want to look at some new deals and maybe some both. So we will go ahead and do that and take a look at some new deals today then, right, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, they've spoken. The audience has spoken. Let's give them what they want.
Give them what they want. So Alex, when we're looking at new deals, like what's the most important thing that you're kind of looking for?
So when we're talking about new deals, we have a process. We usually start with the satellite image. We start to kind of at the top, 60,000 square foot or, level view. And so we're trying to figure out if there's any immediate deal killers. So that way we don't waste additional time on something that perhaps might be an automatic deal killer, such as something that's, right next to a railroad track or next to, some
cemetery.
Across the street from a cemetery or something like that. Something that would just make it so undesirable that almost at no price would we, buy the property. So that's typically where we start with the satellite image and or Google Street View of the property. And then from there, we really start to see what we got on our hands. So we pull the tax records. So I think you're going to be looking at some stuff there. But if they want to look at new deals, then what we can do is we've done it in the past before on these deal review webinars where we're simply just going to go on MLS and we're going to talk to agents. We're going to review live deals. We're going to, get in contact with people just like if we were doing it on our own, without it being live on a webinar.
So I know we talked about some deal killers, right? And obviously deal killers can go both ways, right? Like we want to look for things that are going to obviously scare us. But, we also want to be cognizant of our buyers, right? Like on the flip side, once we're going to relist this, we need to also be, very keen on what our buyers are looking for on that end side, right? Once we're done with the property, what is it that we're kind of looking at? So give me 1 second here, guys. I'm just getting logged in
And
on.
I mean, I had some notes that I wanted to talk about a little bit too while we're getting logged in. Is that
Yeah.
these deal review webinars are the focus is how do we look at the deal? So we're teaching you guys how to fish, because several deal makers in our tribe have followed our directions and they use our flip calculator, our investment calculator that we have. If you don't have that, then please ask for it. Go on the Facebook group. It's in the Facebook group file section, and that way we're teaching people how to fish, how to look at opportunities, because most people assume there's no deals out there, or they're very hard because they don't know the process of determining what a good opportunity is or not. And so some people are more naturally gifted in reviewing deals than others, meaning like maybe you're a little bit more analytical. Okay, that's great. Maybe it'll be easier for you to analyze deals, but then maybe you're not that good on the sales side of things and the persuasion and then that type of thing. So for me, I think I'm better on the sales side of things. I'm not as analytical, but I knew analyzing deals was going to get me on the phone with those agents. It was going to get me in front of those sellers and be prepared to make an offer that I could be confident in and stick to, because that's what you want, guys. You want to be able to make offers, but offers that, you feel confident that if they get accepted, that you're going to move forward with that. And you're just not kind of throwing, whatever it's to the wall and see what sticks. And then it is always a skill that is universal. Analyzing deals. I don't care if I'm in Wichita, Kansas, or I'm in Minneapolis, or I'm in South Florida. Analyzing flip deals are very, very similar. The numbers are different as far as like purchase prices, rehab, all that. But the way you go about vetting a deal and an opportunity is extremely similar. So that's why we try to teach you guys how to analyze deals, how to use the calculators and all that.
So let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to share my screen for you guys. You should be able to see here in the background my screen going for you guys. So this is just, the MLS. And like Alex said, we'll usually kind of start off, macro level view of Los Angeles, right? We want to get an idea. Where is it that we're going to start? Where are we kind of targeting? So for right now, guys, we're just going to start off down here in this kind of Long Beach area. And we'll take a look at deals that are, kind of within that Long Beach, California area. So even if you're on, Zillow, Redfin, realtor.com, you can still go in, you can still kind of put a area on the map and a mileage from that area to kind of get started. So I usually like to just start within a certain zip code, get a feel for how things are looking within that zip code. And you can see here that within that area, there is a lot of action, right? So we have 1,730 activities within 180 days, within 5 miles of that particular area of Long Beach. So what we'll do is we will, kind of trim this down and get into a little bit of a smaller area, try to get that number down a little bit lower. And what we're looking at is we're looking to see, colors on this map, right? Are we seeing a lot of greens? Are we seeing a lot of yellows? Or are we seeing a lot of reds? So we're still getting a couple too many on here. Alex, when we see those colors, can you kind of go over what those inventory, numbers or inventory indicators are meaning?
Yeah. So once you get an opportunity, property that you're looking into, we're running an MLS search. Although again, you could run this type of search, very similar search on Redfin or Zillow. But what we're attempting to do is really take a quick a snapshot of the inventory and what's for sale, what's sold, what's pending to be sold, all in that kind of general area. And what he's saying with the colors, red means that it's already been closed, whereas green is that it's an active, listing. So, that's a bit of a bigger search than, right now we're that we generally will do. But that's what means by that. And so once we determine this is a live opportunity, we're going to pull comps on it. What are you trying to do right now? Will, are you?
So just to give you guys an idea, right? So that's how you guys can kind of gauge in an area. So for us, for example, we're going to get rid of these pending, and we are going to start now searching for deals that are active within the Long Beach area. And so as we kind of, extend this out to 3 miles, we're going to get up into here in about 100 total listings. And that's how many listings we're having that are kind of pulling within that Long Beach area. I'm going to go ahead and move over here to single family only. Knocks out a lot of condos right there. As you kind of become more familiar with areas in the map, I know, for example, that right here is downtown Long Beach. That's the port. And you just have a lot of high-rise apartment buildings up there. So just kind of, starting on here, we're going to look and an easy way to kind of pull results and get started on an area is to kind of look at what is available and look at price points, right? So here we are, we're looking at the lower end price points. And Alex, I hear a lot of people asking, what's our buy box, right?
Yeah.
Typically, we like to be on the lower side of the median price point in an area. So Alex, for this area, we would kind of look at this and say, okay, we have some homes at the 3.5, we have some 2.8s, we have some 2.5s, but we also have some threes, right? We have some fours, we have some fives. So our median price point is probably going to be right in between there, somewhere around that $800,000, $900,000 range, which means we're generally looking at the homes below that median price point. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And that'll obviously vary, location to location. So the first thing that I typically am going to do on here is I'm going to look on here and I'm going to see, what kind of listings we have. I'm always looking at the year built. I'm looking at the square footage, and then I'm looking at the price, right? And you can click in here and start kind of looking at listings right off the bat and get a feel for things. So yeah, this looks like a wonderful investment opportunity, right? It has, they're already letting you know that it's renting for $15,000 a month. You do note here that it has some approval, third parties, some trust. What's that, Alex?
No, I said that's annual.
Yeah. So you kind of want to note that, like, hey, at $15,000 annual rent means that monthly rents on that is probably lower than about $1,500. So, not the highest of rent. It is an older building and it is a longer day on market, but this would be a lead that you could look down, kind of get some ideas of the private agent instructions, if there are any kind of contingencies or things like that, and get an idea if that's one that you want to call on. I'm not going to call on that one right now just because the days on market on that is a little high. Same with this one. Property fell out of escrow. It's got some issues there. Here we're getting into a 41-day. This one started to be on the market for a little while. It does mention that it already has a remodeled kitchen and bath. And you can just kind of look in there and see, like, is that really remodeled all the way up to, modern, or is it, this I would say is rental ready. Would you agree, Alex?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's livable. So it's, yeah, definitely a rent potential livable. Rental. Yeah. It's fine. And also we look into, like, is this financeable or not? If it's financeable, meaning that somebody could likely get a loan and live in the property, then it might not be considered an investor opportunity, because it's somebody can go in there and buy it like a regular buyer. And typically that type of buyer is going to pay more than an investor.
Yep. So when you guys, start to get honed in on areas, what you can do with both Zillow and with the MLS is you can say, hey, I'm starting to become an expert in Long Beach. I want to now get an alert for the area of Long Beach, where I would get an email anytime a home fits underneath a certain guideline. So if it's, let's say 660 or lower, you can get an automated email now that lets you know, hey, Will, there was a property listed within this 3-mile area of Long Beach that you've been targeting. It got listed for $595. Here's the listing. You should probably take a look.
Yeah. And so I think one of the things that Will is mentioning that I think is you guys should take note of is, if you assume that you can't get deals in MLS, but don't know how you could get a deal from the MLS, then you're basically just eliminating a pretty big pool of opportunities simply because you're just assuming that there's no deals on MLS. There is, but you have to make consistent offers. You have to talk to a lot of agents. You have to look at a lot of different areas. Once you make offers, you're going to get, some responses from these agents. As you're looking through deals on MLS, you're going to get better at searching. You're going to set up those auto searches, so that way you're getting emails for things that do fit into the stuff you want to buy. These are all things that you need to kind of put in place, a system in place to be able to mine the MLS, because there's hundreds of opportunities all day, every day, but there are consistent opportunities across your market. If you put the right systems in place to be able to kind of, to vet those opportunities and vet them quickly. The speed is key in the MLS, you guys.
We say it all the time, right, Alex? A deal can come together and fall apart, in the matter of a snap of your finger, right? So the speed really is key here, right?
Yeah, and then also working on the weekends, I think that's worth noting. Most people just want to work, and then weekends, family time, all that good stuff. But hey, there's a lot of open houses. There's people that are working. What happens to that listing that gets listed at 4 p.m. on Friday? If you don't call that listing until like Monday at 11 a.m., I mean, there's probably already a dozen, maybe more investors that have already called that agent and possibly even looked at the property. I remember when I would be negotiating deals like on a Sunday morning on a deal that I just saw that the morning before. And then I was thinking in my head, like, man, these people that are, I'm already like negotiating to potentially go into escrow on Monday afternoon. These people are barely calling for the first time. Haven't even seen the property. Think about that. So,
and like you said, I mean, like that kind of puts you at a distinct advantage, right? Because you're now way above, and this other guy's behind the eight ball and hasn't even taken a stab at this thing yet, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it does require that you have some boots on the ground, some systems in place, right? Because oftentimes these agents don't want to write your offer or won't take you that seriously unless you can get to the property and look at it quickly. So because Southern California, most markets are big territories. It's hard to kind of cover all that ground. But precisely for that reason, though,
yep,
deal makers, it allows you the opportunity no matter who you are. Because even though we have a pretty big team, I can't cover and look at every single house. Neither can my team, even though we have a dozen team members, go and look at every single house because there's just too many of them. And if we vet out, then we vet out, certain couple opportunities, we might only be able to go look at 2 of those 4 opportunities that we vet that one day because, logistically it just doesn't make, it's just hard. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. And jumping in back in here, guys, like it doesn't also always mean that the first couple of deals are the best deals because they're the lowest price. As we mentioned, we want to get a feel for a neighborhood. So although I know Long Beach pretty well, I want to show you guys that again, like even though there's different neighborhoods within here, what we're doing first here is we're just trying to find any property that's going to fit our buy box. So right here, this property is starting to pique my interest for a couple of reasons. The days on market, I'm not too excited about because usually these don't last that long. Maybe the agent just hasn't updated it, but probate listing, 1 picture special. And when you look at the 1 picture, it's got this old kind of look to it. The old driveway, this property looks like it needs updating, right? When we look down a probate, for those of you guys that don't know, it means somebody passed away and they didn't have a will or a trust in order. So the property either needs court confirmation or it doesn't. Either the living heirs are agreeing on what to do with the property or they are not. So this property right here, again, it says that they were looking to set an open house. So I'm not sure if Joanne just forgot to update, this property once it got locked up or what, but let's assume that this is a property that we want to take a little bit further of a look at. So what I will typically do is I will keep that page open and then I will come back into my search and I will search a new set of searches based around this property. So for this property, we're now going to come in and type in within a half mile of this property. We now want to bring back in all of our active, all of our pending, all of our, currently listed and all of our closed. And so we have 16 direct matches within a half mile of that property. So we know, okay, we're over here getting closer towards the Wilmington area. We're west of the 710, but we're still in Long Beach. So once we start to get over into here, guys, you can use the MLS and you can use Zillow to remove certain cities or only include certain cities. So you could say, hey, I only want to include Long Beach matches, or you could say, I only want to include, Wilmington matches, right? Either one of those will work. And you can see like ours is officially, although, we were searching Long Beach, it's all the way over in Wilmington because our initial search box got out that far. So same thing here. This is the comp that it's pulling. It's the only one that it's pulling out there. So even though it pulled that one, we can still run a new set of comps around that house. And that's what we're doing in this search. So this search is now bringing up only those houses around us. Same thing here. We can see there's only 1 green house, right? Everything else is red or locked up. So right off the bat, hey, this area has a lot of sold properties. And it seems like when you go over here to the days on market, most of these are smaller numbers, with the exception of this big 130. All of these look like they're 1 month or less. That's typically a good thing, right, Alex?
Yeah, if you filter it or sort it by the status, over there, do you see with the S with the,
Yeah, well, so we'll sort by status as well, so you guys can see all the P's pending
I
available.
typically like that screen, but you're taking a snapshot and seeing how many days on market are the houses that are being sold in this area average, and I mean it varies greatly. Sometimes it's a 30 days plus. You'll see stuff in there. It took 65 days to sell. It took 90 days to sell. It took 60 days to sell. 54 days. But generally it's gonna be like around this days on market. Okay, well that means I am gonna have to maybe list the property and let it sit for a month before it sells. Now that's not that many areas in Southern California, and that's not a deal killer. But you're looking at that stuff. You're looking at the days on market. You're looking at
these red arrows, right?
These arrows indicate to you if the property is sold above the asking price, the listing price, or below. And so when you see a bunch of red arrows, it's like, okay, well, people are listing really high here. They're not getting their asking price. Where do we need to maybe list that? And or is this an area that's declining? Because there could be an area that you're working on that could be people are moving out, or there's not as much demand as some other areas. So that's a very promising sign there. We have from number 5 all the way down to number 16 are sold comps. And so you see 6 days, 323 days, which looks like maybe a little bit outlier there, 14 days, 9 days, 6 days. So stuff is selling fast.
And that looks like you said, an outlier, right? Because it's 323 days and it's also 1.2 million. It's also a duplex, so it looks like that one might have just had, a couple of other different kind of circumstances.
It's also, if you see, it's a 2020 build. So it's a new build and it's a 3,800 square foot duplex. So then you get to see why that one took longer to sell, but it also sold for significantly higher than most of the other properties there in that area. Also, what I'm looking for is I'm looking to see a general price, as Will kind of indicated earlier, which is super important for us, is that we're very, very, very rarely going to be the most expensive house when we list on the area. We're going to be around the average for that price. So, for example, what do you see mainly? You see 7. Well, I mean, we probably need to do some type of filter for the living area, but just leave that 7, 480, 650, 595. It's kind of all over the place here, to be honest. Not as common in other places, but what might be common we see is like, okay, most of the houses are selling for around 500,000 in this area. There are some selling the 6s, some maybe in the low 7s, but mostly everything's selling for the 5s.
And like Alex said, we can kind of chop this criteria here to maybe 1150 to 1500 to kind of capture a little bit more accurately what we're looking at. So now here we are, right?
Yeah, and I typically, once I really filter it down, do want to have about 6 to 8 comps, 6 to 8 comps, 10 being kind of high, 2, 3 not being enough, just so that we have a good snapshot of the same kind of product, the same type of property that we're going to be working on. We did this yesterday on a property in Norco that we're trying to get, where someone's trying to sell us as a wholesale. Great friend of mine on the East Coast got the deal locked up over here. But when we really dove deep into it, you guys, probably can't go into it now, but it was that this area, the prices that got the properties that got the highest prices were properties that had lot size of 30 to 50,000 square feet or larger. Our property had 20,000 square foot lot. So on the surface, if we were rookies or amateurs, we'd be like, oh man, yeah, we got a big lot size. This is highly desirable area. And it was also very low days on market. But when we dug deep, we figured out like, hey, no, this is a kind of a bigger lot size, but people want the bigger lots because there's ranch property, there's horse property in this area. People want to have horses. And if you only have 20,000 square foot lot size and no horse stalls, it is not, going to get the top dollar like this other one that has 6 horse stalls and is, 40,000 square foot lot. And we only did that by being able to really narrow it down and pay close attention to the comps, because we had to make the decision if we were going to buy the property or not and at what price. And we thought we were going to be able to buy it for 510. When push came to shove, we were not going to be able to buy it for more than 485. And that was a $25,000 difference, simply because we really paid very, very close attention to the comps and the inventory that we were looking at for that particular opportunity.
So let's zoom out here a little bit. I just want to go a little bit further here, just to see if we can get maybe 1 or 2 more comps. again, what we're looking for here, guys, this is our house. So we see these 620s, 652s. Here's a 732. And what you guys will notice here on the MLS, it's a little bit different than, say, Zillow, is these ones are showing up as red. Whenever you see a 2 on here, usually that means that the property had 2 transactions within our 180-day window. So it looks like Salvador was the owner of this property, and he bought it at 565, and then he sold it at 732. And this picture right here looks a little bit cleaner than this picture right here. So you can usually just kind of, go in and kind of reverse engineer the deal. Here's the diamond in the rough trust sale. So this, you guys can tell right here, looks old, garage door on there with this old bars. And then if we go back onto our listing, here's our new one. And our new one, you can see they got rid of those bars. They got a brand new garage door. They upgraded this house and they were able to sell it at that 732 price point after 6 days on the market. So Alex, Judy Reimer.
Oh yeah, she was one of my first investors that I worked for. They're a big flipping company in Southern California. So yeah, they flipped.
And how I knew that, guys, is because they always delete their photos. That was something that Alex taught me right away. Is he was like, "Wait, go down and scroll down. I bet this is a Judy Reimer flip." And so you can kind of tell, guys, like right on here, this is how you would reverse engineer, this deal. So Judy brought this at 565. That's what we're looking at on here on the map, right? So 565, exited at 732. Are you guys seeing my calculator when I'm switching back and forth to the screen?
I am, but it is a little bit small.
Yeah, I'm zooming in.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys can see right here, buying at that's the worst case. Let's go over here to the best case or base case. So buying at 565, selling at 732. You could assume get that down to 20% down. We can, get that commission down. For us, we'd be playing closer to 1%. So this right here is creeping up on a deal, assuming that she put 50K of work into it, right? Maybe she did a little bit less. Maybe she did a little bit more, but that's kind of how we would reverse engineer that deal. And that's something that we do often in neighborhoods. So essentially what this would come down to, if you guys were looking to do this deal, is, am I comfortable bringing $167,000 to the table to make $60,000 130 days later? Does that make sense, Alex?
Yep.
For us, typically as our business, we want to see this number at 30% and this number at $60,000 to $70,000 minimum profit for a deal in Los Angeles. Again, it'll depend on your market. If you are in a smaller market, maybe you're a little bit, more inclined to take lower numbers. For example, we'll allow this number to drop to 30% and $30,000 in some of our markets where we're maybe buying at 230 and exiting at 530. And that's, or at 430 or something like that, because in those instances, that number is still very, very high. Even if we were exiting on this one at, call it 360, like that's still a great number and that's still a good number. So as the buy box shrinks, as your purchase price shrinks, maybe, so does your threshold for profit number. Maybe you don't need to hit that 60 on there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I want to add something there. And essentially what you're really trying to figure out, and I think Mike V is on the call too. And I was running a deal with him in Florida, New York, that he was working on. And you just don't want to be too conservative on your numbers where you're analyzing this deal and you have opportunity to cancel, to back out. Like it's just a random listing you saw in MLS. If you're too conservative with the numbers, you're not even going to be close to like getting considered. And so you're kind of, you're shooting yourself in the foot because you haven't even got a chance to look at the house. You haven't even got a chance. But if you're getting, you're getting an opportunity from a wholesaler and you have to submit a non-refundable deposit and not see the house and buy it sight unseen, well, shoot, you should be more conservative. So I think we've made that point before, but it's worth making again, that you're trying to figure out when you're running the numbers, you're trying to match the risk of the deal with, the opportunity, and then also how much cash it's going to take and how much money you want to make. So these are all kind of factors that you're all kind of calculating at once. Well, hey, if I'm going to use 100,000 of my money, or my partner's money, or somebody that I borrow the money from, is it going to get the return that we're looking for? And then how big is the rehab? And do we have that under control? And then also, how much do we want to make for all the work that we're going to do? And it is, and these are all factors that you have to consider when you're analyzing an opportunity, because sometimes people will present you opportunities where you're like, okay, I don't think I'm going to lose money on doing this deal.
Well, so let's talk about that, Alex. Like, let's talk about what could happen on this deal to make us lose money. So we're buying it at 565. That's what Judy was able to buy that one for. Yeah. They're going to exit at 732. So what would happen, for instance, Alex, if this property had a 2-month delay? Would you expect to see the profit decrease?
Yes, because now you're paying more mortgage payments.
So let's say that our best case was 130, and now all of a sudden this shot to 210. That number right there just lost $7,000. And like you said, Alex, you're paying a monthly mortgage rate and interest percentage. And as that kind of changes, so does that profit. Let's imagine, Alex, that your rehab estimate all of a sudden goes up $25,000 to 75K. Now all of a sudden your profit went down significantly as well. So why we use this calculator in particular is because, like Alex mentioned, you have to just kind of judge based on your threshold what your tolerance of risk is. So for this case, you have to now bring an extra $25,000. You have to pay, an additional down payment here if we're going up to 20. You're still at that 113 number, but that number right there, that 25,000 extra, that just shot up the total cash that you need to do the deal up as well. And that's why that return on investment is shrinking down significantly, right?
Yeah. And that exactly. And then you're looking at it like, hey, this seems like this could be a lot of work. And then, I'm going to make 20 grand and then I'm going to, park and, as when a good friend of mine said, put to sleep $120,000. Like, okay.
Now on the flip side, Alex, what if things go well on this deal, right? What if, we have an opportunity, let's say we're still buying at that 565 number, but we think that we can, get this thing sold for, let's call it 780. And maybe we need to put 60,000 in there to do that. And we can still get that done in 150 days.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden, this is a deal where you're bringing that same 170,000 that you're bringing over here, maybe 10,000 extra for the rehab. Now, here's the same thing. What if you're able to get the rehab partially financed? Now all you need to bring is the first 15,000, and then your lender will give you a draw process to get it back. Well, then that just lowered this number significantly, right? Yes. So those are the different ways that, different investors can look at things differently. So you might hear, well, your cost of money is different than mine. Well, that might mean that I get my interest at 7.5%. So I'm going to pay $1,000 less over the course of my loan than you are, right? It might mean that you have to pay your partner 1.5% to list your deal, whereas I only have to pay my partner 1%. So we might have different scales or different negotiations, that we're looking at a deal. And that's why, like Alex said, you might miss a deal by a couple $1,000s because that other investor, they might be a contractor themselves. So they know they can get it done for 45.
Yeah.
Right. That's going to be those little nuances that you'll need to know. And the sooner you get engaged with it, the better it is. Right.
Yeah. The cost of the money that it costs you to acquire the property, rehab the property, and then the cost of the rehab itself can vary greatly per investor. So, where's your advantage at? For us, our advantage is that we have a great team. We have great financing, great private money lenders. Not all of our deals are home runs, but we're doing volume. So, whenever you're doing volume, you're going to come across opportunities that are going to be home runs. And then we're going to, we pair those up with the base hits and all the other ones that, are pretty safe bets based on, our business model. So, yeah.
So guys, just looking at this deal right off the bat, I don't see this high of upside. Maybe I could see it getting up to 750, thousand on that, on the resale. Even 50 is a pretty light rehab. But the reason why I think this house is still on the market is because it's 615,000. If you could get that same 732 that they were able to get on their property, you'd be investing $177,000 into this deal to make $8,000. Not many investors I know are going to be open to doing that.
I mean, I don't know anybody that want to do that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know many people that
Let
are in
me
that
borrow
boat.
that 167. We'll do a lot better job with it. Don't
So
buy that deal.
let's give this agent a quick call. We'll see if Joanne answers, and we just want to kind of again, feel him out and get an idea of where things are at. If he still has an open house scheduled, how the open house went, and you guys are going to get to hear how I kind of make those phone calls. All right.
Let's go. You got this, bro.
Come on, Joanne, pick up.
Hello, you have reached me. Currently, I'm unavailable at this time. If you'd be so kind to leave your name.
So usually I don't leave a message. I'll give them a call back in about 3 or 4 minutes and we'll see if we can get in touch. But that, guys, is how we are kind of going on here and looking at a deal. For me, again, right off the bat, I wouldn't necessarily pursue this deal, but I might give the agent a quick call and say, hey, man, I noticed there hasn't been much activity. Would you entertain something between the 550 and 600,000 range? Like, hey, can I even get you to come down 15,000? If you won't even come down 15, then you probably won't come down the rest. So, and then I would probably ask him a couple questions beforehand, like, hey, who came up with the listing price? Who are the people that are going to be benefiting from this probate listing? Is it 6 heirs that are splitting 600,000? Okay, that's different than if it's 2 people that are splitting 600,000, right? All of those kind of pieces are going to help you, when making a decision on something like this.
Yeah, and you try to figure out oftentimes, guys, where, ladies and gentlemen, where your leverage points are. For example, we did a deal where a wholesaler was out of the area. They were down in San Diego. The deal was in LA. They didn't want to keep having to come up and show the property and or have to, come up from San Diego to LA. And we knew we had a little bit of leverage there, and that helped us kind of, get the deal or apply a little bit of, pressure there, or a little bit of, hey, alleviate some pressure, right? Or, hey, we got this. We're the buyer, this area, we'll perform. We'll get this thing done for you, get you paid. Also, that happens frequently where listing agents, you put in good offers consistently, and then somebody will just not perform. A wholesaler will lock up a deal and then just try to renegotiate, and then it'll come back around. And simply because you put in that offer 2 weeks ago, guess what? It's not going to go back to active. They're just going to go back to the backup offers, and you're a backup offer, and then you get the opportunity and boomerangs back to you. So these are many, many instances, occasions that we see in our business that we're out there, attacking, and then good things happen. They say luck favors the bold. So especially with MLS, you got to be bold. You got to be out there. You got to be, in front of a lot of opportunities to land deals consistently on MLS.
So, guys, what I want to do now is I just want to go ahead and welcome you guys onto the screen with us. I want to bring you guys in here. We weren't sure if we were going to have time to do 1 or 2 of our deals, or just kind of show you guys, how we're jumping on and how I can find new deals. But want to just kind of get any questions you guys have, any feedback, if you guys understood everything we did, if you have any questions, how we did something, why we did something, why we, cut one of the leads this way, why we chopped something there. Go ahead and feel free to join in. We'll put you on screen and, ask away if you guys have any questions on this. Alex, like for us, like we said, we have preset now areas where we've, already determined, guys, like, hey, we would like homes in this neighborhood. Like you guys will start to learn, like, okay, there's Bixby Knolls in Long Beach. We would love homes in Bixby Knolls under $750,000. So any home that gets listed at that price point, we're going to automatically get an email that lets us know, hey, Will, 3 seconds ago, this property got listed. It hits your criteria. Take a look at it right away. And you guys can set those same auto searches up on Zillow, Redfin, and any of those other kind of applications as well.
Yeah. And if I were you, my deal makers, I would do everything possible to memorize the values across the territory that you're working in. So for example, One of the areas that I know extremely well because I grew up in the area is the San Fernando Valley. And one of our acquisitions managers, Manu, he got this opportunity in Pacoima, and that is in the San Fernando Valley. And then he calls me. He's like, "Hey, I got this deal. This is." I was like, "Okay, well, what's the size of the house?" "Oh, it's this. It's 1,600 square feet." "Oh, okay." And it has a separate guest house. It has a pool. It has this lot size, and we can get it for like 500. I was like, I don't even need to look at the deal. Like, I don't even need to look at the deal. Just lock it up. Like, is there anything that you didn't tell me? Is it going to be like delivered with hostile tenants? Is it like a fire, damaged property that's kind of, really heavy rehab? What are you not telling me? No, it's this, and that. Okay, cool. Lock it up. And then talk to the agent, write the offer ASAP. And then we end up getting that deal. Is not only because of me, but because of the teamwork. And because, partly was that, we didn't hesitate and we went in there, locked it up. It actually had some complications, and it went to this other buyer and then back to us. And, so these things, you miss these deals by inches, you guys, you really do. Right. So, yeah.
And they can come together and fall apart quick. So, anybody have any questions on kind of what, like we said, what we went over, how we're kind of looking at that, how you guys, can use that to take advantage and find deals in your areas?
We're gonna start picking on people.
What's up, guys?
We gotta start picking on.
Hey, what's up, man?
We're gonna pick on Noriel. What's up, bro?
You can pick on me, no problem. Hey, quick question. In your experience with all these, with the interest rates rising, do you see that affecting your business with higher money lenders or your private funding?
I haven't seen a significant difference in anything. We're keeping close. Interest rates are something you have to keep a close track of because it affects, affordability for the end buyers, especially if you're flipping. We haven't seen a dramatic change though. In the hard money rates have been very similar, maybe 0.25%, different here and there. But certainly nothing where it's like, oh, wow, we're not going to do deals anymore, or we have to find, better hard money lenders. And then our private money lenders, we get paid very well. They usually range between 15 and 20% annualized. Like they're getting good rates for the deals that they're kind of helping us fund. So yeah, man, I can't say that we've seen an effect in our business.
Thanks.
It's definitely, like Alex said, something to keep track of, but nothing that has been too alarming for us. I think, when you mentioned private money lenders, they're kind of already up at, like Alex said, they're getting one of our highest annualized return rates. So they oftentimes are already getting more than the private money or more than the hard money lenders and more than the banks are getting anyway. So
they're not asking for more.
Yeah, exactly. For them to be asking for more is already like, hey man, we're giving you some of the best rates, that people are giving out there to lend money.
Yeah. And one more thing is that because we're still at, historically low inventory levels, instead of maybe getting a dozen offers, we might get 6 or 5, so but you just need one good one. Obviously you want as many offers as possible, but there's kind of this illusion. Sometimes it's really difficult to trust the media because I'm like, oh, it's down 12%, like whatever that means. Buyer, applications for mortgages are down 12%, or any of that stuff. But it's but what they're not saying is that it was historically super high. Now it's kind of normalizing. So it's but they just fool you to thinking that oh, everything's crashing.
Right.
Which we just not seen that. Also, I could relate that to say, professional sports where, you're asking one of the star players, hey, are you worried about this guy's, this team's defense? Well, yeah, we have a game plan. We're going to execute that game plan. We're not only worried about, of course, we're where they have a good defense, but, we have good offense and, we have a game plan that we're going to execute. And that's how we feel. We're okay, we're buying houses that, that are not tear downs, that we're going to be back to market in 2 months, 3 months from when we bought it. So you tell me how likely it is for a house to go down 15, 20% in value in 2-3 months from when we buy it to when it's back listed. Maybe not all the way to the end, but from when we buy it to when it's listed back onto the market for a new buyer to buy, that's 60 days, 30 days, 90 days, sometimes, max 120 days. So I think that's extremely important. Our business model has that, it is recession resistant because we're not like holding property for a very long time. And then most of the stuff we're buying is entry level, which always has a, a pretty large buyer pool. Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Great questions. Anybody else? Any questions on kind of how we're finding deals? Anybody finding any deals that they're kind of getting struggle with? I know Lizette asking about how to use the MLS. So the MLS, yeah, it is based on people that have their MLS access, right? So that's going to be a realtor's license. But I'll show you on here. It's the same thing. You would just type in on Zillow, hey, I'm interested in Long Beach, California. It's going to pull up the homes that are in Long Beach, California. You can say, I don't want to look at the sold ones, but I want to look at the for sale ones. And there you go. There's your for sale. Then I want to look at, a certain price point. Like we mentioned, we're only buying at, 700,000 or less. So there we go. We're going to shrink those down. Then you can go to home type. We really only want to see houses. So, I mean, it's the same thing. There's just going to be a little bit of a different, kind of look. And so these are our listings that kind of fit, that criteria. I think we scaled over this one while I was looking. Let's see if we can find the other ones. Here's a good one right here. This one, you could definitely probably call on that one. And this is where you're just going to find those listings. I don't think it's going to pull the Wilmington one that we looked at, because I searched for Long Beach and that one was in Wilmington right out here. So it's only pulling up, these ones right here that are in our zone. But you can do that whether you have MLS or whether you have Zillow or whatever that might be. So, I mean, if you don't have access to this, I just use the MLS because that's how I learned how to use it originally. And so that's kind of the system I'm most familiar with. But, Alex will tell you, it's the MLS and Zillow. All it is it's a data storage site. And your job as a user is to track and sort that data into the fields and categories that you want to. And Zillow does it just as effectively as the MLS, I feel like. Cool stuff. Who else? Any questions, any feedback? Like I said, it doesn't have to be a question on the deals we were looking at. Any deals that you guys are looking at. If you got stuck on something, let us know.
Hi.
Hey.
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. So question. So refinancing a investment property. Do you guys use that kind of method to buy more property? Have you guys done that?
We don't.
And not yeah, it's actually pulling a credit line on the investment property, not on the main home.
Yeah, so you could put a lien on your property. You could pull a line of credit against a property. We aren't typically doing that to grow our business, Lizette. What we're doing is we're just bringing in other partners and partnering with them on the deal. So we will find a deal and we'll say, hey, we need. I'm just going to share my calculator with you guys again. So you guys can see right here on this deal, for example, right? I think we were looking at this one at 530 or 565. So let's say we were buying this deal, right? What we do, Lizette, is we go to our partners, people that know us and that want to build their wealth with us. And we say, hey guys, if you can lend us $159,000 in 130 days, we can get you paid back on that money. And then they'll usually say, hey, that's awesome. I have that money sitting in the bank. What could you pay me back? So let's just keep it easy math. Let's say we give them 10% interest. Then they're going to get, in 4 months time, 15,000 back on top of their 159,000. And that allows us to do more deals and allows, people to do those deals with us, Lizette. So we aren't typically taking out leverage on our past houses because most of our houses we are flipping. Our business is primarily a flipping business. And then we hold, investment properties that we want to hold, for longer term durations. But our main bread and butter is flipping those properties. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah, because you guys have so many properties already but um like for beginners, like I only have one investment property, and I have my main home. But I heard that I can take a line of credit on my investment property. But see, my question is, do we have to shop around for those? Like when you take a line of credit on a property, do you shop around like for best I
So
don't
for
know.
me, it comes down to two things, Lizette. How much time does it take to shop around, and how much opportunity am I missing by shopping around? Right. So, like Alex said, there
Okay.
might be a deal that's available right now that you can make $96,000 on, but it might cost you $11,000 to borrow that line of credit from your bank. What if that number dropped down to 775? You spent 3 months doing all of the research to find that better bank that gave you that half a quarter point less. So you saved a grand total of $700. But now all of a sudden, this deal is selling for $590, and you're only making $35,000 on it.
Okay, I see.
So for me, again, it comes down to two things. It's how much time am I spending looking for that better deal, and what better deal am I getting? Again, like I've seen some people that are like, hey, Will, like I've been working to try and get my loan rates down. I'm at 8.25. And like, I feel like I can't do a deal until I get down to 8. And I'll show them that and I'll be like, look, all you're really saving is like $400. If $400 was your deal, then the deal probably wasn't a deal, right?
Yep. Agreed.
So
Yeah, we need to take action.
Time value of money, right? Like how long does it take you to get that better rate, and what did you miss in getting that better rate?
I mean, your goal really is to just be accurate with the numbers, extremely accurate. And that's difficult sometimes because we kind of are, too optimistic or too pessimistic. And it really is, you're searching for accuracy. That's your best friend. And sometimes you need to do additional work or additional due diligence. But for me, it's always like, what am I really buying? Like, am I buying this? Like, because the way the opportunities are presented to you, whether they be by agents or they be by wholesalers or by sellers, you're not always getting all the truth. Let's just be real here. You're not. So your job is to find out the truth. And that's what we're sharing with you guys. So you guys can look at the numbers and make decisions based off of numbers and logic and reason, not your emotions. Yeah.
Good stuff, guys. Great questions. Anybody else, anything they want to kind of go over? I see Joe over there saying he's getting some leads in the IE and the LA area, man. I mean, the best way to make offers on them is just like we just showed you, like plug in the address, find out what homes are selling for in the area, and reverse engineer a deal. Say, hey, this guy flipped this house right down the road. He bought it at this price. If I bought mine at around there and put around what he made into it, I would probably make around what he made on it. So Alex and I tend to fish where other people are fishing, tend to fish where we've caught fish before, because it just turns out, to be a little bit easier if you do it that way, right? Well, good stuff, guys. We'll catch you next week. We do this every week, so we appreciate you guys kind of tuning in. And, some weeks we're doing the open house networking where we're just kind of chatting with you guys and getting to know you guys a little bit better. And some weeks it's like this where we get to dive in and do some deals. I appreciate your guys' feedback, and we'll definitely, on the next one, continue to kind of look at some new deals and make sure you guys are getting an idea of how we're finding these.
Good. Appreciate it, guys.
All right, guys. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate your time. Let's go get some deals.
Let's go, guys. We'll see you on the flip side.
Thanks, guys.